top.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm head coach and owner at Jones for CrossFit, Shelby Jones. We're gonna be showing y'all some of the basic movements that we use in CrossFit today. We're gonna have Coach Bryson demoing some different variations of the squats. We're gonna show y'all some common faults and then give y'all some fixes that will hopefully help get y'all moving a little bit better in better positions. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're actually just gonna go over the air squat, set up how to execute it, and then if we have any faults, what we need to do to try to fix those faults, okay? We could dig into mobility as far as the faults go. We're just gonna give you some corrective exercises, not dig too much into the mobility right now. All right, so Coach Bryson, let's go ahead and get set up. What? Okay, so set up, the stance is really gonna differ from person to person. Can be dependent on a whole lot of things, femur length, torso length. Good rule of thumb where I have people kind of start off at, Bryson has pretty broad shoulders here, so I'm gonna want his heels right underneath his shoulders, toes turned out just a little bit. After we get there, we like to tell our athletes that, you think of the foot as a tripod. So the big toe pressing down into the ground, sealing down the outside edge of the foot, which will, or should, increase that arch. For you flat-footed people, it's very important. And then trying to kind of grind or turn, screw your heels into the ground. So that should give you some external rotation there. From there, what we're gonna do, once we have that, squeeze our glutes, lock down our core, and then the first movement is gonna be a slight hinge back of the hips, and then we're gonna drop the hips straight down, maintaining that neutral spine, maintaining the core and glutes active the whole time, and then coming right back up to that standing position. Let's go ahead and see a couple, Bryson. Boom, right back up. Awesome. So those were good. Those were good. Nice little counterbalance, holding out the arms out, keeping his chest up the whole time. Core's maintained. Little bit of a butt wink, very small, but that was good. It was good. Yeah, just a little bit, bro. Just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you a common fault. Like the most common fault that I see when people are trying to start or do the squat, and this is any kind of squat. They get set up and go ahead and break. Whoop! There you go. Okay, so if you look right here, go ahead and set up again. What's happening first is overextension in the back. That back is loaded all the way down. You have an increased range of motion for the flexion extension in the low spine, and then coming back up, you have that cycle again, right? So you're gonna start feeling that in your low back pretty quick if you're doing them that way. So the way to avoid that is making sure that you have that midline stable, you're locking your hips underneath your body, really squeezing that butt and keeping that tension the whole time. The other fault that I commonly see, I'm pretty sure everybody sees this, is a knee-initiated squat instead of a hip-initiated squat. So even if we're locked down here, boom, if the people start going forward with their knees first, then it's not gonna be good for their knees, obviously. We wanna try to get them working with the posterior chain for those squats. So Bryson, go ahead and show them what that would look like. So, it's really common. People doing this, they don't realize they're doing it. This is just how they've been taught. I remember when I was in high school football, that's how my coach taught me. So really we want to try to transition people to be more posterior dominant, really loading the hips and the hamstrings instead of loading the knees and the quads. And in the long run too, if you're moving more weight, it's going to save your knees. You can do a lot of damage, especially if you start getting in valgus states. With a high load, if your knees are going through that, you're loading your knees first. So I always think about that first movement is just a slight hinge back in the knees, not knees, hips, I'm sorry. And soft knees, and then trying to drop straight down into that squat. Okay, let's show them an immature squat. So dropping of the chest and rounding of the back. There you go. Okay, so this right here, obviously, again, is not gonna be good, especially if you have any kind of load on that. So what we're gonna do right now is kind of take you through a couple of fixes for this, and then show you some other stuff that we can do for, let's say, the overextension in the back and an immature squat. Bryce, go ahead and come up. Okay, so if they can't maintain the lumbar curve coming out of the bottom of the squat, what I would do is actually shorten the distance of the squat, or the depth of the squat. So if you notice, if they're coming down to, they're in a good position, they're good here, coming down, and then they start to lose that lumbar curve, well, this should be about how deep they should be squatting. So setting up a box with a ball or ab mats will help give them a target and then gradually work their way down. Normally what that is just trying to teach them to keep that tension going further down into the squat rather than relaxing down there. So that's an easy fix for that immature squat. Another way to fix the chest dropping is actually bringing them onto the wall. And again here, you have to look for a few things, making sure that they are not overextending for the first movement, which is pretty common when you take them to the wall, right? So you're set up here and you wanna make sure you have enough room in between you and the wall, so you go here first instead of that hinge back and then down. Let's go ahead and show them a good wall squat. If you're starting your athletes off here too, if they have some faults that you need to fix, start them further away from the wall, okay? So starting about a foot length away should give them enough distance to really focus on that form, and then as they get better, gradually move them in. So let's go ahead and start about a foot away. Good, and then back up, right? So let's pretend that you have an immature squat and really try to almost act like you're leaning into it, chest is dropping, and see if your hands up on the wall will kind of resist that. So it's almost using the wall as a counterbalance, also helping keep the chest up. It's good. Good, good, good. And then bringing them in just a little bit closer. Go in about 3-4 inches. Eventually the goal would be to get them right on the wall. And you can see nose streaks up and down the wall. That's pretty good. All right. That's it. That's good.
Done.
All right. So once you get those fixes down, if they have good depth and still maintain that midline, then you can think about loading the squat. So a couple of things that we do when the athlete is ready would either be doing like a goblet squat or shoulder rack dumbbell squat, right? So let's go ahead and start with the shoulder rack dumbbell. Nice light dumbbells. There you go. This is actually gonna help us. I think this and the goblet squat, keeping the torso in the more upright position. Whenever we teach the back squat, we normally teach the high bar back squat just because the transition to the front squat and the overhead squat is better. So this is a nice transition or scalable version of that. Okay, so good front rack, dumbbells on the shoulders, and then we're just gonna go right into the squat. Boom, and then back up. So think about this movement, you're almost already training for, say like the thruster or catching a squat clean, anything like that. So this is a great variation. Go ahead and go again. Good. Awesome. Drop it. And then goblet squats. Another great variation. There you go. Down and then right up. And again, maintaining that upright torso. Great transition over to the front squat and overhead squat. Couple different variations on this too. You can hold it underneath the kettlebell, or there you go. You can hold it up like that. Let's go ahead and grab the horns and try to pull them apart. There you go. So this one kind of teaches keeping the upper back tight. You're trying to rip those horns apart and then dropping down into that squat again. Good. Feel a little bit of difference there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So keeping the upper back tight, that's really gonna help out. So this is a good variation too. Once they get used to the other goblet squats or the front rack dumbbell, getting them to initiate the upper back, keep it active is a really good exercise. All right. All right guys, so that's it for the variations, moving from the air squat, trying to fix those faults, and then loading the squats just a little bit, some good variations for those. Next video, we're gonna show you some other variations for box squats, back squats, front squats, and overhead squats. See y'all soon.